start to fly downhill, and they'll really pick up the tempo all the way back to Kigali now. So they're looking good, nice and relaxed. 46k an hour for this squad. This Rwanda team, you can see the way they're riding. It's quite an unusual formation. That middle rider is always sitting to the right-hand side and the other rider sitting to the left-hand side at the back.
Yeah, I think when we get to the last wave of riders and the more experienced riders, we won't see that. We'll see them in a dead straight line. But if you're a little bit nervous about clipping the wheel, getting a little bit too close, they sit a little bit to the side, which gives them an aerodynamic disadvantage, of course, but safety first.
This is the Kigali Genocide Memorial. We were going to try and go here this morning, but the whole training situation meant that we didn't, because there was so much going on around the hotel. But also, you had to get a motorbike taxi to get there.
Yeah, the closed roads have caused a little bit of chaos. I mean, the locals are happy with it. They know their way around and all that kind of thing, but it is a difficult... there's just so many people and so many things going on in different areas. You've got the fan zone there, and you've got the concert going on over there, and the VIP area, and there's so many things going on all the time. So, yeah, sometimes to get to one place that's very close can take a very long time.
Yeah, and I don't fancy 8 kilometres on a motorbike taxi, because everyone was telling me it was really safe. And I'm sure it is, but I'm not so sure that I want to be on the back of one. As the team go down the other side of the road, just going past us on the right-hand side as we were looking. The Rwandan team still working well. The time to beat is obviously that team of Uganda. 14 minutes and 14. So many of the kids are out as well today to cheer everybody on. They don't stand by the barriers, do they? Because they're not, I don't think they're allowed to stand by the barriers. So they cheer on from sort of a distance as we just see Rwanda about to lose a rider.
Yeah, that's not good for Rwanda, because they were the most well-drilled team when they went off the start line, but now they're down to 2, and you can see the second rider struggling as well, just with balance and coordination, which comes down to fatigue. That they may have just all gone out a little bit too hard, but they have to be careful now. It's going to be a real hard second part of the race, but they haven't even gone through the first time check yet. But
they could have done with keeping their riders together for this descent. Even here, though, the Benin team is struggling a little bit on this descent to keep 2 riders together, which is what you have to do. They're not as you mentioned, you'll see the later teams right in on the wheel. No gaps between them. They'll do everything they can to stay as close as possible. Here's the arrival of our next team at the intermediate. This is Ethiopia. They're going well, actually. The team of Uganda was 14-14, and Ethiopia go into the lead.
Very interesting. So they may not look very well drilled in terms of aerodynamic position and equipment and things like that, but they've got the power. They've got the brute power, should I say, and they are absolutely flying. So they've gone through with the fastest time in front of Uganda and Benin, and their average speed at the first time check at 8.9 kilometres was 38.2 kilometres per hour.
That's pretty rapid, isn't it?
Significantly faster than Uganda.
The Benin team, the women, are getting ready. Their last warm-ups. They've got to be on the stage ready for the end of this time trial of the rest of their team. Those last moments of just getting the effort out. What sort of warm-up will these teams be doing here? How long?
Well, it's interesting with the warm-up here at this particular World Championships, because you're at altitude and you do have that heat. It's not extremely hot, but it's a different type of heat. And as we've both experienced, Anthony, it's also quite a dusty air, so it's very hard to breathe. So with the warm-up, you want to be careful that you don't overdo it. So it's not every event is different, but it's not just a normal, Tour de France, Giro d'Italia, or a classics race warm-up. It's really got to be specific to your body and what you're capable of and your adaptation to this environment.
It's funny, when you talk to the riders, and it doesn't matter whether they're male or female, all of them have said that it's not the legs, it's the lungs that are hurting.
Yes, that's right. They're at altitude. They've got a little bit of that, dusty air, and it's just burning. I've felt it myself this morning, actually, out on the course. It's, it is very difficult to get the air in. So I think the altitude and air has been very underestimated by the riders, and a lot of riders are really struggling.
The Chinese team, we go back here to Benin. This is the intermediate split number 2. Benin go through in 24 minutes 10.65. Since they lost their rider, they look like they're now much more cohesive as a unit, spinning along well, and it looks like they're starting to produce some good speed on the way back down to Kigali. Still the fastest team at the first intermediate split is Ethiopia. It's fun here. You can see the riders as one team goes up, the next team comes down the other side. They're able to see them on the other side of the road and keep an eye on everything that's going on. Little conversation here between the Rwandan squad, obviously just trying to keep each other together. Is there much talking in a team time trial, or is it not really possible?
I think when we go off for the favourites in the last wave of riders, we won't see any communication between the riders unless it's a body communication, so body language communication. However, it's really important. Obviously, we have a rider here from Rwanda really struggling, which means the rider on front needs to be aware. He needs to look around, he needs to know and keep him with him, because the time is taken off the second rider that crosses the line, and then their 3 women will go out for the last part of the relay.
He's really hurting right now, making his way towards the top. Just got to hang on for as long as possible. These long drags really do burn. I fear for this rider when we get to the cobbles. This is going to hurt, and hurt a lot.
Yeah. Hurting already before the first time check at the top, or near the top.
This is the Rwandan team then, coming up to the first intermediate split. Let's see how they do. They're pretty close to it. They're just outside the time of Ethiopia. That's a good performance, isn't it? 4 seconds down, so they're in the ballpark.
Yeah, that'll be a little bit motivating for them. If they could cross the line and get themselves into a hot seat, that would be a wonderful experience for Rwanda. But as you say, 4.5 seconds down at the first time check. It's not a lot.
Now they start the descent. There's a little bit of water on this lens. I hope there's no rain out there, because if it rains on these roads, can you imagine what it's going to be like?
I wouldn't want to be having my bike on an angle on those white lines, I can tell you that. After this morning, it was completely dry, no wind, super fast descents, and super dangerous or technical corners. So if it rains, yeah, it's going to be difficult.
Benin onto the cobbles for the first time.
Benin being our first team to start today. They're down to 2 riders.
Does it make a difference when you're going uphill like this to try and share the pace making, or is it better for one rider to do the majority of the pace making?
I think it depends on the individual rider, but with this particular team, there'll be one rider that climbs stronger than the other and says, okay, I'll take the lead for the climbs, and it's just motivating to have a wheel to chase rather than just trying to struggle through a really hard cobbled climb without anyone in front of you. So looks like he's got a little bit of power now and says, hey, I can, this is deceiving here, because you come around this corner to the right and it just keeps going up. You think you're at the top, and then you think that's the top, but it goes left again and it still keeps going up. It's a really tough climb.
And when you were out this morning, did you notice the majority of riders sitting in the saddle or getting out the saddle? How were they mainly riding it, as we see this rider really starting to suffer? A little bit of a shout to remind his teammates.
Yeah, big trouble there. And he did yell out, he did call out and say, yep, wait up. So he's giving him the attention. We both need to get across that finish line so we can send our 3 women off for the final lap.
2 kilometres of pace. Yes, were they sitting in the saddle or were they getting out of the saddle?
Yes, Anthony, definitely sitting in the saddle. Even the riders that were flying past at a super high pace, doing a really hard effort on the cobbles, they're all sitting in the saddle. So obviously they want to keep traction, keep some weight in the saddle, and keep as much traction and surface area of the tyre on the cobbles, so they can propel themselves forward. So a lot of the riders, I didn't see anyone out of the saddle, to be honest, on the cobble section.
Okay. and big wide tyres on most bikes.
Yeah, newish, should I say, trend to cycling. Yeah, the more surface area of the tyre that makes contact with the road, the more you can propel yourself forward, obviously, with the power. So, yeah, as I said, it'll just be a really, really tricky thing for the athletes and their mechanics to decide what tyre pressures they run on a course that has smooth roads, super smooth roads, and then a very, very hard cobbled climb.
They seem to have got themselves together here. They've not got long to go. They're inside the final 2 kilometres to set the standard for everyone else to beat. Here's the People's Republic of China coming up to that first split. This looks like a fast performance by these riders. Ethiopia top of the leaderboard, 13:58.48. But the Chinese squads are closing in now. It's not going to be a massive beating, but it's 21 seconds already for the Chinese squads.
I think at the half-time check in this wave of riders, that's quite a significant 21 seconds for the Chinese. I think it's impressive but unexpected. Not for me. As I said before, I'm aware of this little secret hub of developing cyclists that they have there in China, and there's a lot of talent there, and I think a lot of effort's gone into preparation for this team time trial to gain them UCI points so they can represent more people at the World Championships.
Do they have closed road circuits and things that are secretly built, or is it?
They have a couple, yes.
They do. A little bit like the non-secret ones in Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
Well, they're not that long as they are in 80-kilometre desert cycling circuit, and very public and very used, the one in Dubai. However, this is more for a very enclosed secret circle of developing cycling.
You're lucky to have been able to go and see that.
Yeah, so it really blew me away, actually. Just, the technology, the science, the dedication and commitment from the athletes, and the level of their performance just really, really blew me away.
Wow. It's always like that for me when I go to the UAE, the way that they have all their things set up, and you're lucky enough to be there a lot and know what the advances they've made in their progression of cycling. Whoops, this is the arrival then of the next team, the team of Uganda. They're going to catch the team of Benin, coming flying their way up this hill. They look good, don't they?
They do. They went through the first time check 37 seconds behind China, who went through the fastest, but they are coming home quite strong.
They're going to catch them just before the top here. As we turn left, you get to the 1 kilometre to go point. So they're almost on the wheel now. There's the red kite, the universal symbol of cycling to say we've got 1,000 metres to go. And now this is going to be a little difficult, Rochelle, because normally you have one team sitting on the ramp getting ready to go. And right now, 2 teams are going to come in pretty much together. I don't know how they're going to deal with this and have enough space. I think they've just got about enough space for 2 teams to be alongside each other, but it's going to be very tight.
Yeah, I think they'll have to slipstream a little bit. There is enough space to be side by side, but I think they will slipstream a little bit to get through the finish line.
Here's the arrival of the 2 teams side by side. And then we've got to get the women underway alongside each other on the ramp. That's going to be a little challenge coming up now. You'll have 6 riders alongside each other on a ramp that's built, I think, for 6, is it? Just about.
Yeah, the ramp built for 6. 3 riders will be going off that ramp.
There we go.
Oh,
look.
Yes.
Wow.
They go off at the same time.
It's literally going to be 2 teams at the same time going off the ramp. Now, this is complicated. Let's hope nothing happens. The Ugandan team is going to be given the nod first.
Well, they are the stronger team, so then they'll be just off in the clear. And, well, we don't know with the women. They might not be as strong as their men were, so it'll be interesting to see. They've only got they've got the full squad there, 3 to start with the women.
They have, there they are. So Mary Alepa, Nantun Maria and Florence Nakagwa are about to get going for Uganda. Massive crowd cheering these riders on. The Ugandan team have finished and the other riders are given the off then, so everything is okay. They haven't gone exactly the same time. The Ugandan men came past us here, and the Benin team have just cracked a little bit. towards the finish. The minute the second rider goes across the line, Benin are underway now. Kamani Awisu, Yetonda Kokuhude and Charlotte Matovi. Benin are underway. A real competition between those teams then. So at the end of the lap, 29 minutes 20 for Uganda, 4 minutes behind the team of Benin. Just past us up here on the left-hand side is all those huts, all the places for all the teams to be, isn't it? Just up on our left-hand side.
Yeah, so the team's protocol when they finish the line, if they have finished in the top 3, it's all very chaotic because they have to do a flash interview, then they go into their tent to wash down, and they'll have a soigneur or a masseur who cleans their face and gives them change of clothes and everything, and then they rush off to the podium, they do podium, and then they have to go to the mix zone where they have their national TV interviews, then they have to go to doping control. So we've got tents and things happening all around the finish line here.
Yeah, there's loads of them. Wherever I look, there's tents. So much infrastructure to our World Championship. I have to say, the way that this is organised has been superb. We're very lucky. Our hotel is a walk to where we're commentating. Across is the restaurant, but you come out, you're right on the circuit, you get to see all the riders. So this morning, while you were riding, I managed to get to see Tadej Pogačar, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, Demi Vollering, had a chat to her, Anna van der Breggen, Isaac Del Toro, Tom Pidcock, all of the riders out and about doing their reconnaissance, and it's right on the doorstep. And I've been at World Championships and you have with me, where we've had to get cabs, buses, ride there. Yeah,
it's unbelievable here. I mean, from my balcony, I can literally call out to a rider that's riding past and say, hey, how you doing? You know, everything is, the organisation has been very, very well done. I would say, I mean, from a perspective of a rider as well as all the staff, that it's one of the best. I think we've been doing it for nearly 20 years, and one of the best organisations we've come across, so it's been very, very well done.
Yeah, because you and I know that generally when we come to World Championships and you're talking to as we just see the arrival, let's bring this squad home. This is the team of Ethiopia. They've been riding well. They are just behind Rwanda as the fastest team through the second split. So Ethiopia just lost a rider just at the top of the climb. A little bit too much urgency. Just needs to bring his teammate home because it's all about the second place rider, and that last finish is horrible. The team of Ethiopia about to go. Brian Abra, Haftu Raider, Circle in Watango, and they get going now. So Ethiopia are underway. They're the fastest team so far.
If you're new to this discipline, we just saw the men finish their lap of the team time trial relay, and now the women will do one lap and finish it off. So they have to finish with 2 riders, so the time will be taken on the second rider. As we saw when the men came in, the time wouldn't have been taken from the first rider, so that effort to the finish line was not really beneficial. The time was taken on the second rider crossing the line.
Really important that you keep driving all the way to the finish.
And be very aware of your teammates behind you if you need to get that second rider across the line. So that's quite important. But
China flying in now. Just talking about infrastructure again. We get used to the fact that we're lucky enough to be here and we can talk to the riders and the teams and everything. Normally, when you talk to the team managers, you generally say, how are things going? And their answer is, oh, this is a nightmare. I'm here, I'm 50k away, I've got to go back and forward with the team. The team managers meeting's there, and this is over here and that's over there. Because generally team managers are a bit like that.
Yeah, Rwanda has been a little bit of a different experience.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's you need to be somewhere, they'll make sure you're there.
Yeah, and talking to team managers this morning, how's it going? Great, was the answer. We're only a couple of K down the road. This is what it's like. We get here, it's nice and easy. Another team manager I was walking here with said, absolutely amazing organisation. Can't believe how easy it is to get around.
Well, a good example is when I finished doing a lap this morning and I took my helmet off and sat down, two of the local organising committee ladies came up and said, "Would you like us to get a doctor for you?" I said, "No, I'm
yeah,
fine,
that would be
fine.
nice.
I'm fine." But everything is thought of and thought through. So there's, it's quite an amazing experience.
This rider's had to swap to a Shimano neutral service bike, unfortunately. This is Florence Nakagwa, has had a problem. We didn't see exactly what the problem was. Let's take a little look here. Rochelle, she's got a big issue. She's had to swing across the road and has had to take a Shimano neutral service bike.
We didn't get a very good look of what. She may have gear issues.
I don't know what the problem is, whether it's a puncture or something else.
She may be stuck in the large chain ring. Yeah, a bit difficult to see maybe with the electronic gears, but I think given she's just been passed by another team, it's going to be an impossible task to get back to the two riders. So unfortunately that'll be the day done and dusted. We're back with Rwanda now. They're in trouble because they need to keep these two riders together. This is the men. They still have their three women to finish off.
The rider number 111, Bikusenga, is getting pretty angry with his teammates, isn't he?
He's getting frustrated that he can't let all of his effort out. But like I said, you really need to motivate your teammate. There's 500 metres to go, and I can tell you it's a very, very difficult 500 metres. So the rider in second place is in the absolute hurt box.
Rwanda are about to finish. They're coming together to the line. He keeps checking. He's obviously the strongest rider in the team, but in reality, you're only as strong as your weakest link in the team. That is the difference in a team time trial. He's going to empty the tank here into the finish, try and give it everything for Rwanda. Those legs are absolutely searing in pain.
Well, this is professional. He's frustrated, but the professionalism in just waiting, because that's all he can do, is impressive.
It is. He's done the right thing here as he brings his teammate to the line. And yeah, there'll be a few words, I'm sure, but once they sit down and relax at the end of it, they'll realise that they helped each other to the end of this World Championship, doing everything he can, shake of the head.
He'll have, at the end of the day, he'll have respect for how hard his teammate worked, how much pain he put himself through.
And he's annoyed with his teammate right now, not impressed at all. Shook of the head. He actually slowed the team down, and he should realise that, because he slowed right down and crossed the line a few seconds behind his teammate at the end. Should have done everything he could. He did everything he could, but actually the heat to the head.
Yeah, he'll regret that a little bit later in the
team
evening.
a few seconds. That might cost them some points, Rochelle.
Yeah, it's all about, like we said, it's all about UCI points for the developing nations out here. Uganda have got their women now out on course, finishing off the job of the men. They were in 4th position, so will the Uganda women be able to improve on that?
Situation at the end is that Ethiopia leads, Uganda are 2nd, Rwanda are in 3rd place, and I think maybe there was a bit of frustration that the Rwanda team had slowed down, but they're only a split second behind the Ugandan squad, not too much at all. And we've seen the Rwandan women looking really strong on the bike, so we'll see how they do in comparison to the Ugandan women later on. This is People's Republic of China. This will be our last team to get to the finish. They've been the fastest team so far at the splits. At the second split, they're 46 seconds faster, and they still seem to be riding a really strong performance here. They look good. The arrival then of China. This last bit of this climb, as you said, the last 500 metres, seems to take forever.
It does, and I can tell you, looking for that, you see the 500 metre to go sign, but waiting for the 400 metre one and waiting for the 300 metre one, it takes so long. And you think you can see the finish line, but you actually can't. It curves around a little bit, and it's just really mentally tough. Especially after just coming off those cobbles, you get it's a little bit of a tease because you come off the cobbles, which are really hard uphill climb. You get a downhill and a little bit of reprieve, a little bit of rest for about 200 or 300 metres, and then the road just starts going all the way up to the finish.
Then it's just pain. People's Republic of China are about to go. So we've got Zheng Luwao, Chang Huao, and Chao Ting about to go. China are the best riders so far then at the end of that first group. 27 minutes 54.73. There are 3 women now out on the course. Let's see how these squads go.
Well, these women from China, they're out on their final lap of the team time trial relay here. It's really fantastic, I think, of the UCI to have created this event, which is a mixed team time trial relay, to bring women's and men's cycling together. And we see that in other sports. So when you go to the World Championships for athletics, for example, you will see a relay, but you will also see a mixed team relay with both the men and women. And that's what we're watching here today, is the men and women coming together, and we're identifying the strongest nations at a really, really, really high level of their top men and women combined.
Yeah, because I remember sitting watching the triathlon, and they have a mixed relay, and I thought it was one of the best events that you could have, because you've got the mixed athletes. They're really putting in everything. Things chop and change as the race goes on. And this format, I think when it started, everyone was a bit up in arms because everyone loved the time trial. Just looking here to see this rider. This is Diane Irebere. Now, where is the rest of her squad? There they are, just up in front. So she must have had a little bit of a problem. She seems to still be going well, so I wonder if she can get back.
You make a good point, because if it wasn't a problem and it was a physical, fatigue issue, the 2 riders would just carry on to get. They only need 2 riders to cross the line. But they obviously feel that there's value in slowing down a little bit to let her get back on. She's still fighting very hard. Get the 3 of them back together and might get them to the finish quicker. So they'll have to make a decisive call between them out on the road, whether these 2 riders keep pushing on or if they just completely sit up. Because if they don't just completely sit up, it just makes it too hard for the 3rd rider to make contact again. Well, they're not sitting up, so it's going to be a real hard ask now for the 3rd rider to get back.
Yep, she's going to have a big problem, but she's one of the talented riders in that group. And you wonder whether they've made the right decision or not. Time will tell as to how things are going to go. That's the Chinese team. They're happy with their performance. And their riders are now out on the course, doing everything they can to keep the time ticking along nicely. They have given them a nice advantage at the finish line. 52.8 seconds is the advantage for China, but it all comes down to whether the women are going as well as they are. Chinese women seem very well drilled right now, the way they're riding. On the front is Cheng Lu Yao. You can see they've done a lot of work, as Rochelle had outlined. One rider is sitting on a little bit, though, and it might be that they are coming up towards this corner and decided that's probably a good idea. But they've clearly been well drilled in terms of their ability to ride as a team. They're checking on each other all the time, making sure the gap hasn't opened too much and making sure that everybody is in a good position, so they then work together, keep everyone in the same line, make sure that everybody is happy. Great performance here by the People's Republic of China. Back with the Ugandan team. And it's Leperas on the front. And Leper working well. with the rider on her wheel as they make their way up towards this first time split. It won't be long until they reach there, and then we'll get an idea of how these teams are all progressing along the road. But Irebere of Rwanda hasn't got herself back on. Uganda have lost a rider, so they've only got these two riders together. Mary Alepa and Nantumi Maria are working nicely together. Nice small gears, don't have the time trial bikes. They're at a massive disadvantage, aren't they, in not having time trial bikes?
Yes and no. At elite level, yes. In developing level, they need to have control over their bikes, and time trial bikes are not easy to ride. A newcomer to cycling, so it's you need to get the best performance out of themselves on the day. They really do need to be able to control their bikes. It's a very technical circuit, so perhaps in this case they can give their best performance on a road bike rather than a time trial bike. But when you get to the elite level and the last wave of riders,
you have to be
on time to be in the game.
Yeah, otherwise you're nowhere near. So in terms of, I guess you've got a bit of a competition within a competition here. You've got the nations who are the emerging nations who are improving all the time. We remember back to team time trials in the past where these emerging nations were very disorganised in the way they rode. They couldn't really ride together, and that's not being harsh, that's just reality. Whereas now, actually, when you look at them, you see the way they're riding together, and they are right in the wheels, they are keeping everything together, they are making sure that everybody is on the wheels, they're checking over their shoulders, and yeah, there's a bit of annoyance now and then that they've not quite had the teammate to perform at the level they needed. But right now, things are much more cohesive in the way that they ride. You can see that. There's much more power in the legs. There's a lot of enthusiasm for the sport as well. So many of these riders really want to do this and really want to be part of it. I was talking earlier on, she's going to ride in a while for the UCI World Cycling Centre to Alalia Darwish. And she is an Egyptian rider, so outgoing, wants to really ride these World Championships, wants to perform, knows it's going to be hard, going to be up against, alongside the Afghanistan riders, the two Hashmi sisters. But she doesn't worry, she's having a wonderful time. She's here at the World Championships, she's learning, she looks great on a bike, and she's learning how to be more powerful and how to train, picking up experienced riders in the world who